You know, we throw the word risk around every single day. But what if I told you we've been using it all wrong? Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful theory that completely flips our everyday understanding of what risk actually is. So, let's just jump right in with the big question here. Is a hurricane a risk? How about a stock market crash? An earthquake? The answer? Well, it might just surprise you. Because according to one incredible thinker, the real key isn't the event itself. It all comes down to the huge difference between a risk and a hazard. And the mind behind this whole idea is the German sociologist Niklas Luhmann. In his pretty revolutionary 1991 book, Risk: A Sociological Theory, he gave us a completely new way to look at the world. And it all starts with two simple but, honestly, profound definitions.
Okay, first up, hazard. For Luhmann, a hazard is any potential damage that comes from the outside world, the environment. Think about stuff like a lightning strike, a meteor, a volcano erupting. These are things that happen to us. They come from forces that are way beyond our direct control.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Luhmann defines risk as potential damage that you can trace directly back to a specific human decision. See, this isn't something that just happens to us. It's something that happens because of a choice we made, or in some cases, a choice we decided not to make.
And this right here just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got hazards. They're external, they're environmental, they happen to us. But on the other side, you have risks. They're internal, and they're born from our own decisions. Choosing to build your house in a known floodplain, that's not a hazard. The flood is the hazard. The decision to build there, now that is the risk. Makes sense, right?
Luhmann himself said it best. Damage is classified as a risk when it can be attributed to a specific decision. That one little sentence has such a massive implication because if risk is tied to a decision, well, that changes everything about how we look at bad outcomes.
And that leads us to the most crucial point of all. Risk implies responsibility. I mean, if an outcome is a risk, it means some person or some group made a choice. And where there's a choice, there's accountability. You can't really blame a hurricane, can you? But you can absolutely question the decision to sail a ship right into its path.
So here's basically how a risk gets made. It starts with a decision. Let's say launching a new app. The creators can foresee potential damage, right? Maybe a major data breach. Well, if that breach happens, it's not some random hazard from the universe. No, it's a risk that's tied directly back to that initial decision to launch the app.
Okay, so this new way of thinking brings up another huge question. With all our incredible technology and knowledge, can't we just, engineer a world that's perfectly safe? A world with no more risks or hazards? Sounds like a pretty good goal, doesn't it?
Well, Luhmann's answer to that is a hard no. He argues that in our super complex, modern world, perfect safety is just an illusion. We aren't actually eliminating risk. We're just choosing which risks we're willing to live with. Every single decision we make involves a trade-off, where we swap one set of risks for a whole new set.
And this constant game of trading risks leads to this really fascinating and maybe a little unsettling idea that Luhmann called the paradox of safety.
Here's how this whole paradox thing works. We spot a risk, so what do? We add some new safety technology to fix it. But that technology, by its very nature, adds new layers of complexity to the whole system. And buried inside that new complexity, brand new, totally unforeseen risks are born. Think about it. We add complicated automated systems to an airplane. Sure, it reduces certain kinds of human error, but it also introduces the brand new risk of a catastrophic software glitch. Or look at social media algorithms. They were designed to connect us, but whoops, they created the unforeseen risk of misinformation spreading like wildfire.
All right, let's do a quick recap of the big takeaways here. First, and most importantly, a risk is not a hazard. One comes from a decision, the other from the environment. Second, because of that link, risk always comes with responsibility attached. And finally, in our complex world, the hunt for absolute safety is basically a myth. Every solution is just another trade-off.
So why does any of this matter? Because Luhmann's theory isn't just some dusty old academic idea. It is a seriously powerful tool for looking at everything around us, from financial markets and climate change policy to how we build software and handle public health. It makes us ask much better questions. Not just, is this safe, but wait, what decisions led to this risk and what totally new risks are we creating by trying to fix it?
And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. As you go about your day and look at the world, think about the problems we're all facing. And then ask yourself this: how many of the things we treat today as unavoidable hazards are actually just the fallout from yesterday's risks, the direct consequences of decisions we once made?